Alright, so it's been a while, and I owe you all a Skyrim update video as I left a lot of questions unanswered with my last video that was several months ago. So we're going to be talking about everything that you guys really wanted to know about in that last video, but there's been plenty more exciting things that have happened for Skyrim over the last few months, and I think we need to talk about it. But before we do, times are tough, so thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. America's #1 meal kit that delivers fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to your doorstep. Making nutrition one of the most important things in life, simple and effortless. Not only helping you eat better, but also saving you time on picking out groceries, prepping for meals, and even saving a bit in your budget. Choosing and cooking the right food shouldn't be stressful, and with over 35 weekly recipes, trust me when I say that they will have the options you're looking for to help you achieve your goals. So you can try HelloFresh today by clicking my affiliate link down in the description, where you can get a special limited time discount plus free shipping, all while helping support the channel. So thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Alright, so you may remember from my last video that there were a number of mods that had yet to be updated following the last hotfix that we covered for Skyrim. And that was due to the update being more mod breaking than usual. So I figured we should start with all of the mods you know and love that are finally now compatible with the latest version of Skyrim. Beginning with the most highly requested of them all, Dynamic Animation Replacer by Felisky, which has now been updated to support Skyrim 1.6.629 and above. This had been a several month long wait for an update to one of Skyrim's most vital modders resources when it comes to animations, so I'm sure this is going to make a lot of people happy. And it already has. And even if Felisky themselves didn't update the mod, we were hearing that Doodlezoid was planning on updating it themselves anyway. But either way, it's now released. You can now update Dynamic Animation Replacer and use the mods that require it. Now, this also came alongside updates for display enemy level and floating damage, 2 additional popular mods by Felisky, but not as vital as DAR itself. And as for the reasoning for the long-awaited updates, Felisky said the following. Sorry for the late updates. I updated mods for Skyrim version 1.6.629. I realized late last year that I needed to update my mods and finally got around to doing it. There seems to be several versions of Skyrim these days, and I'm sorry there are versions that haven't been supported yet. Regarding the questions asking me for the source code, in conclusion, I will think about it in the future. Up until now, I have created mods by freely writing source code myself. At that time, I didn't have much knowledge about it, and I thought that it would be enough if it just worked. So when I read it again, it was a very messy and bad source code. If I publish the source code, I would like to organize the source code and publish it in a way that I am satisfied with. Regarding my recent modding activity, I don't have the motivation to create mods right now, and I don't have time because my life is busy. The situation is expected to continue. I haven't been able to play Skyrim lately, but I still love Skyrim. There are still some mods that I want to try creating, so if I have the chance, I may create mods again someday. So this is definitely an understandable explanation, not that I think Felisky needed to give one in the first place. And while I am sad to hear that they have a lack of motivation to mod at this time, I'd say it kind of relates to my lack of motivation for uploading these last few months, as there was just a lot going on in life. Life happens. And that's understandable. That being said, it is great to hear that they may return in the future, and if not, possibly deliver some open source code to keep their mods updated by others, as Bethesda will inevitably break them again with future updates, as they plan on doing next with Fallout 4, which I'm sure you're all very excited about. And unfortunately, Felisky isn't the only one being exhausted by what has felt like non-stop, negligible updates by Bethesda, and a portion of the community attacking them because they didn't drop everything to update their mods immediately. And we're talking about updates that were breaking things every few weeks, if not more frequently, so I can understand mod authors not wanting to continue with that. In fact, Maxu 2017, known for mods such as TK Dodge Remake, Scar, iframe generator remake, and detection meter, has made the decision not to update any of their mods to the anniversary edition of the game, let alone the latest build. Thankfully, they are leaving their mods open source for any authors to take over, and Doodlezoid has, thankfully, already chosen to do so, having updated a number of them over the last few months. We've also seen updates for many more vital and popular mods that people have been waiting for since my previous update video, including SSE display tweaks, bug fixes SSE, scrambled bugs, actor limit fix, RaceMenu, SSE FPS stabilizer, custom skills framework, SSE parallax shader fix, true directional movement, smooth cam, payload interpreter, Valhalla combat, true HUD, NVIDIA reflex support, shadow boost, contextual crosshair, target focus, soft shadows, ENB helper SE, ENB helper plus, shader tools updated, Infinity UI, and compass navigation overhaul, just to name a few. And of course, old updated mods aren't the only exciting thing, as there have been a load of breakthroughs and large mods released for Skyrim over the last few months, many of which I think are very exciting, some of which are absolutely game-changing when it comes to modding and playing the game, and one of them we actually covered briefly in the last video with a new trailer. That being Skyrim Extended Cut, Saints and Seducers, which has since released to great reception. It's a fully voiced overhaul of the Saints and Seducers creation and is well worth the time, so I'd highly recommend checking it out if you need some more Skyrim content to play through. But one of the advancements I think is most game-changing, as long as you're not using ENBSeries, is Skyrim Upscaler by PureDark, which adds NVIDIA DLSS 2, DLAA, AMD FSR 2, and Intel XeSS support via their SDKs to the game. Something that was highly unexpected up until the Flat 2 VR announcement on Twitter. Of course, there are limitations, as these AI upscaling technologies will only benefit performance in GPU-bound scenarios, so this would be most beneficial for ENB users, which pushes the game further into a GPU-bound scenario. But as of right now, it doesn't officially support ENB due to an issue that can only be fixed properly by Boris, that being the developer of ENB. It's looking like Boris is suggesting that support likely won't happen for ENB, at least not anytime soon. This is also a huge step forward for game modding in general, not just for Skyrim, as this is apparently something that can be translated to many other games, according to PureDark. In fact, it is already released for Fallout 4 as well, which is pretty exciting. Not that support is going to last very long, as Bethesda does plan on nuking that game next. But what will be most exciting, at least for those running very high-end NVIDIA hardware, is the potential of DLSS 3 support in the future, given that NVIDIA releases the SDK sometime soon. As PureDark said, they'd likely support such functionality in the future. So I do plan on making a full-blown showcase for this mod sometime in the future to take a look at the tech behind the upscalers and the performance benefits you can see in Skyrim if you're not using ENB. But for now, I just wanted to make you all aware that it does exist and give you a little bit of an explanation as to why I think you should care. Now, while the lack of ENB support is unfortunate, there is good news for ENB itself, as Boris has been working overtime on Skyrim's ENB supports, not only with newly released features, but also major optimizations, such as complex parallax added in version 0.481, released alongside parallax occlusion mapping for improved performance, a beta release of Deblur TAA, an ENB reshade add-on for Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76, and some very exciting upcoming improvements to the optimization of ENB itself, which is currently in beta testing. So ENBSeries version 0.491 currently has optimizations for skylighting, complex parallax and firelights, complex parallax and complex terrain parallax, detailed shadows, reflections SSR for water, water tessellation, displacement, caustics and parallax, wet and rain wet surfaces, and sky effects. All these optimizations have apparently, in some situations, improved performance by about 30%, which of course comes down to multiple variables, such as what effects are intensive in said scene, but it's a showcase of the 3 months of hard work that Boris has put so far into this new version. But it doesn't stop there, as Boris also plans on optimizing other heavy effects in the future, such as ambient occlusion, which will let us see yet another sizable performance increase to ENB down the road. As to when we'll actually get to see these optimizations in a release build, it's not quite certain, but I'd say expect it somewhat soon. And yet, it doesn't stop there for major and new mod releases, as it has been a constant stream lately, with new mods like camera noise, reshade helper, auto parallax, dynamic collision adjustment, papyrus tweak NG, ENB iMod separator, destructible Skyrim, and over 9,000 more since my last video. Skyrim modding has never been this active, which is crazy considering the game is now over a decade old, so I'll actually be showcasing some of these on the channel in the near future just to show you why they're so exciting. In fact, there is what I deem an ENB competitor now available for Skyrim. That being Community Shaders by Doodlezoid, or better yet, the Community, which is an SKSE core plugin for community-driven advanced graphics modifications, such as grass lighting, grass collision, tree LOD lighting, and some other potential future additions such as image-based lighting, subsurface scattering, and physically based rendering. All of which look like very promising effects with a smaller hit to performance than their ENB equivalents. Which, while Doodle isn't touting this as an ENB competitor publicly, and even says that these aren't near the quality of ENB effects, it does feel like a great potential alternative. And due to obvious technical reasons, it's not compatible with ENB either. So you have to choose one or the other. So I'll definitely be keeping you updated with what's going on with community shader support. I think that this has a load of potential, but we'll have to see what comes of it in the future. But back on the topic of AI for a second, as Skyrim also got another game-changing mod that I want to mention, that being Dragonborn voiceover by Matthew May, which isn't AI in itself, it's just a mod platform for others to bring voice protagonists to the game, and I say it's just very lightly, but because of how many lines there are in the game, genuine voice acting to support it is likely a long ways away, and I'm sure you can understand why. I'm out here recording this video, there's nowhere near as many lines as in Skyrim, and I'm sure by the end of it, I will have lost my voice. So if anyone tries to do all the Skyrim dialogue in one sitting, they're going to do some great damage to their vocal cords. So the good or the bad news is that AI lets us skip that wait, as you can now just steal people's voices and generate lines yourself. So there are now AI voice packs for Skyrim from some well-known names, that being Joshua Graham, Master Chief, Geralt, Ciri, and Kratos. All of which sounds surprisingly pretty good, especially considering most of these characters are known for their monotone and emotionless speech, so it's very fitting to hear them in Skyrim. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff now available for Skyrim. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though, as there are some mods that are more than likely lost forever thanks to the releases of Anniversary Edition, including .NET Script Framework, which also wipes out mods that require it, such as No Grass and Objects. Thankfully, there is a user by the name of Dionysus that has released some of the pre-cached LOD files for several different grass mods, so there's at least a workaround for that one, while Minimap, which is a mod by Felisky, wasn't updated in the recent wave and isn't expected to receive one at this time. There's also been some changes to acquiring permissions for porting mods to Bethesda.net, as DM screenshots will no longer be considered proof that you have permission to port someone's mod to Bethesda.net. So you will now need to ask permission publicly on that given mod page so that it can be verified as real by Bethesda themselves. That is, if the mod author doesn't publicly give open permissions to do so. An understandable change to avoid people faking screenshots after not getting permission, but it will likely have at least a minor impact on the amount of mods ported, at least in the short term. So if you're someone who ports mods to Bethesda.net for other authors, just be aware of these changes and ensure you request the permission publicly. Now, to hopefully rebalance some excitement, one of the most highly anticipated large projects for Skyrim got a new trailer, that being Skyblivion. Yes, the Oblivion remake in the Skyrim engine got a brand new trailer showcasing its beautifully recrafted world with updated mechanics, and even got a release year of 2025, which the Skyblivion team says that they can promise as being the latest possible release given how far they are into development. And while I'm sure some of you are disappointed by it being still a few years away after being in development for over 10 years, it gives me far more confidence in the eventual release and the major progress they have made over the years. It's not often that a large-scale mod like this will give release dates, let alone release windows, so I'll personally take it as good news. The trailer is a true masterpiece, so you can find it linked down in the description along with everything else covered in the video. There were also a few other major topics we touched on in the last video that I wanted to update you all on, one of which being being the GOG version of Skyrim that had released, which at the time was very worrying, as there were already several different versions and several different builds of Skyrim that had to be supported. But it has quickly received support from the mod community, and for good reason, with updates for SKSE64, Address Library, and the overwhelming majority of mods that use either of them. And due to the no DRM, no forced updates, and the ability to select your build version of the game, all of which I've been advocating for, it's actually the version of the game I would suggest to anyone looking to get into modding Skyrim today. And since my last video, I am now an official GOG partner, so if you do plan on picking up your 20th version of the game to enhance your modding experience, you can find my official partner link down in the description, along with all my other support links. And with my full-time return to YouTube, it would certainly help, but it's not expected whatsoever. I just simply appreciate you all sticking with me. And well, that's finally it for this Skyrim update video. I want to thank you all, as always, for watching, and until next time, this is Apoqsi, signing off.